Every time you see a game go d4, d5, and c4, you know what is about to happen. You are going to be extremely bored, and you're going to lose in about 20 moves anyway because your opponent knows your theory and you don't. It's really frustrating. So I was looking for an opening that is better than d5. There are options. You have knight f6, e6, maybe even d6. But only one stood out to me. That one was f5, the Dutch defense. Similarly to the Sicilian defense, you control a center square with a wing pawn. This move also creates imbalance, and it can lead to very sharp play. It does weaken your king side a little bit, as of course you're removing the f-pawn. But if you learn how to master this opening, I guarantee you that you will win more games against d4 than ever before. Let's just jump right into it. First of all, what is the idea behind the Dutch defense? Well, what we are going to do is put this knight on f6. Let's say they keep developing. And now you have a choice between g6 and e6. Here I will show you the Leningrad variation, where after white develops, you play bishop g7, and then you will castle. After this, you will then play d6, and then moves like knight d7 or even queen e8 to support the pawn push of e5. Everything I've shown you so far is the most popular way to play against the Dutch defense. Now, most players with white will end up playing the move bishop g5, and already you have a trick that can be fatal. You can jump in with knight e4, attacking the bishop, attacking the knight, and putting some pressure on f2. And already there is a 60% chance of winning if you play this move, according to the Lichess database. Most people will end up capturing. You will then play f takes e4, and after f takes e4, you will notice that you are attacking the knight. Here already, white only has one move, that being knight d2. However, this leaves the pawn on d4 completely undefended. After they take an e4, you can take this pawn too. Rook b1, and you can just go back to g7. You are simply up a pawn in 9 moves. Instead of taking the knight, if they choose to play e3, you will just take that bishop, knight takes, and here you have some options. You could go for h6, but I prefer d6. Easy to remember, of course. And again, if they go for bishop d3, what do you have? You have e5, like always. Obviously, taking that is just a blunder. I mean, that's a free knight. So, they'll most likely want to play h4. And again, you can just overrun them. They can't go back here, they have to go here. And once again, that's a free pawn. Completely free. You're up a pawn. You have incredible space. You will castle, and you will just destroy this position. It's that easy to get a winning position with the Dutch. It's such a brilliant opening, and it's actually quite simple once you learn it. Let's just say they play a move like bishop f4 instead, simply developing the bishop to a safe square. You will follow up by castling e3, and now d6. Once again, you are going to try to play the move e5, or maybe even c5. And once again, the most popular move can lead to very sharp games where you can win very fast. That being bishop d3. You do have the option of knight h5 and trading off the knight for a bishop, but I just like playing knight c6, once again pushing for e5, castling, and now you play this move. Most people play this strange move of bishop g3, but this really doesn't do anything, as you can just take that. And they have just weakened their king side. Alternatively, they may even try bishop g5, but this just leads to the same thing. After h6, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, and boom. Now you have more pawns extended, and you may look to play a move like g4 or h5 in the future. But really, their best move is to play d5. Attacking your knight, forcing it to move, right? Well, no. This whole time you've been pushing for the move e5, and you can just play it. If something like this ends up happening, you're fine with this. This is totally okay. At the end of the day, you now have 2 open bishops, a knight on a very good square, good kingside space, and you are just much better here. Alternatively, they may en passant is forced. You just recapture with the bishop, and this is totally fine. I mean, you just developed a piece. You can then try to trade off this knight for the bishop. Maybe you can try a move like knight b4 later. This is a very decent position to be in. Those traps were fun, but you're here to learn actually how to play this no matter what. Let's say you're playing against someone playing a London. Knight f3, knight f6, and then the move bishop f4. You continue as you have learned, e3, bishop g7, bishop d3, castle. And of course, many London players will default to this no matter what. Even though you don't have any pawns pushed, they still play this move c3. This is weak. White has to go for c4 instead. c4 and knight c3, and you just take space. But if they are weak and play c3, you can already start building up for e5. Now they go for knight bd2. Now you play queen e8. You're going for e5. They castle, and you continue pushing for it. I mean, it's a very simple way of playing. If your opponent sits back and lets you do what you want to do, you will end up with a very good position. You will get a lot of center space, and you might even find yourself having a fork. And in this position, what does white have? So the best engine move is h3, simply preventing your knight from going here. Again, it just doesn't matter. You play e5 anyway. If they bring their bishop back, I mean, this is just a blunder. e4, you win a piece. Easy. If a trade occurs, it does look like you're winning a piece, but you aren't because of this diagonal. They have bishop c4 check, king h8. But still, you're in a very good position. Their knight is under threat, must move. You don't want to take that because you simply just help their pawn structure. Never really want to do that. So you can just play knight e5. I mean, look at this beautiful wall of pawns. They are doing so well here. You just have so much space. And once again, you are just in a better position. So those are the main 3 weapons you will probably face. And from this point on, I'm going to show you rarer, nicher moves that you may face. You may face moves like bishop g5. You may face moves like knight c3. You may even face the move e4. So this is called the Staunton Gambit. You can take this pawn, it's fine. Let's say they play knight c3, knight f6. And from this point on, you may face f3 or bishop g5. In the case of bishop g5, you have to be careful. Obviously, their plan is to trade and then take this pawn. So you may think the move d5 is very good here, right? I mean, you are just strengthening your pawns, but actually it's a mistake. After bishop takes, you can't take like this because of queen h5. So e takes, they still have queen h5, g6, and queen can just take this pawn. And if you just do a trade, this pawn is weak, this pawn is weak. You will lose one of them. And obviously, if you lose this pawn, it's a fork. You just lose that rook, so you have to play king d8. What you have to do instead is g6, just as you would normally. You don't mind giving up this pawn. If they do take, e takes, knight takes, you can now just play d5. The knight has to go somewhere. Once again, you can just do as you normally would. There's no threat here. You may also face this tricky little attack called the Hopton Attack. The point is, you will want to chase this bishop, and you think that this is a trapped bishop, right? Well, actually, let's say bishop g3, f4 is a mistake because they have this really nice move, e3. The point of e3 is that if you take now, you have lost the game. That is mate. So obviously you don't want to play f5. You can just play bishop g7. You have space out here, and you do this, 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 this. And it's simple. You can face something like this too, where they attack you like this. Here, g6 simply doesn't work. g6 is a mistake because they have the really nice move h4. The point is, they will strike at your king side, and they could try to do something like this in the future. In the Dutch defense, you have to be wary against h4. h4 is a very common move, and it's usually a very good move. They are simply targeting the weak diagonal. I will be showing you how to stop this in just a few minutes. So instead of g6, you will actually just play d5. Well, d5 looks a bit strange. I mean, usually you'd see d6 instead. But after this, and e takes f6, this pawn structure is terrible. That is a really bad pawn structure. Meanwhile, white is completely fine. There's no need to weaken your pawn structure like this, so instead you play d5. The difference here is if they take e takes, they no longer have the move e4. These two pawns now have great control of it. Your pawns aren't so passive as before. Yes, you are doubled up, but it's actually fine here. What can end up happening is e3. They're trying to go for this. You can just play bishop e6. This move is not scary. You just have g6. So let's say they keep trying to target these pawns. What you'll try to do now is castle queen side. How does that look like? Okay, you play knight c6. They could go for a move like queen f3, again trying to target this pawn, but it's totally fine. You have to move queen d7. And this is what may end up happening. You have both sides long castling. And another thing you should be worried about, and again, I mentioned it before, h4. So this move can be played basically at any time. You will see it quite often. Simply white is trying to play h5 or h6 and dismantle your king side. If you were to play bishop g7 into this, they again just have h5. And you may be thinking, isn't that a free pawn? Is that not a complete loss of a pawn? It is. But the point is, the h file is now open for this rook. So white will play the really good move e4. They are targeting this pawn and opening up the queen and bishop for something in the future. So you just take that, and now white has the absolutely insane move. Rook takes h5. That is a sacrifice of a rook. The point being, they get in like this, king f8, and the bishop comes along too. This is scary. However, it's not actually lost, although you will be seeing knight takes e4 and maybe the development of this knight too. That's why I wouldn't play bishop g7. Rather, I would pick d6. The point is, if they go for h5 now, you can take that. And if they go for e4, you don't have to do this. Simply because your bishop is protecting that. Instead of that, you can just bring your knight back. And if they take this, the bishop will take. And this is a decent position. You will do the same thing as before. But back here, I'm going to show you something that's actually quite funny. White can basically force a draw from this position. Rook takes h5. G takes h5. e4 again. And here, you kind of have to take. You could try bishop g7 and try to play on, but this is just kind of the same position, and you don't want to be in this. So instead of that, you just take queen takes h5 will happen regardless. You can just play king d7. Simply, white can play queen h3 check. Your only move is back. If you try the move e6, knight takes e4 happens. And what white will try to do is break down this, as of course this e-pawn is pinned. They will then try to activate their pieces in various ways. And although, again, you are up the exchange, it doesn't really matter. Your knight is blocked in, your bishop is blocked in, your queen can only go over here. This is terrible. So, your only option is to repeat moves. And it's a draw. Something that you will notice in this opening is that a lot of the positions I'm going to show you are very similar. g6, let's say they try bishop g5 instead. You can do this. It's fine. Now people will probably try h4, h5, the same thing. You know how to deal with this. d6. Now, e4 does not work here, simply because that is a free pawn. They might go for e3, once again opening this. They may go for h5. h5 doesn't work here. That's a free pawn. This does not work. Qh5, e3, and now you have the move bishop e6. If they take this, bishop f7, you don't have to move the king. You now have two bishops standing here, and this is just better for black. You always have to be wary of playing g6 when there's a bishop here, and they have the capacity to play h4. Let me show you this crazy trap, where after they play h5, you take, just like before. They hit you with e4. If you take that too, they have the unbelievable rook sacrifice again. But this is worse for you, as if you take, it's not queen takes h5, because king f8 and bishop c4 is not forcing enough because of the move queen e8. Still much better for white, but it's not winning. Instead, you actually play bishop c4 first. The point being is, if white were to get a move right now, they can play this with check, and they get this anyway. You are completely cooked. Really, the only thing you can do is this, queen h5 and king d7, but you lose anyway. Look at this position. It does not matter that you are up in exchange. And this is a theme, a concept that I want you to keep in your mind, that the move h4, h5, and then maybe even rook takes h5 can be very powerful against you. So you have to be wary of it, and you have to be defensive. Because there are instances where you may not want to take that pawn, you may not want to take that rook. And below in the description, I have provided you with the full PGN. There is so much theory. And if you appreciate the effort, the content, and you want to see more, leave a like and subscribe, and it really helps my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm a little bit sick right now, so I had to get this video out quite quickly. I tried to make it as detailed as I can, but you know how it is, just trying to learn on the way. Once again, if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Really boosts the channel, really helps me out. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll respond to anything you have to ask. So, yep, that's all I have to say, and bye-bye.